You right over there?
Oh yeah, keep going, Rod. Keep going.
Oh, okay. So the tribes that came from everywhere, from South America and the islands to fight in the Gullah Wars. And they used a legal system in a fractional reserve banking system after they closed all of our stuff down to it's a hostile takeover. It was a military invasion that was masqueraded as government expansion, but it was actually territory expansion of a foreign agency, a foreign government across the land of the people. Yep.
Hey, Rod, we're gonna keep on. What I was gonna tell you. We're gonna take some questions for the crowd. Hey, y'all, drop your comments in the crowd real quick in the chat.
What you say, Elder?
I say, we're at the hour and 30-minute mark. We can take questions from the crowd. But you been going in tonight, man. You just gave me some stuff on some more connections while I was trying to connect it, Ben York and Benjamin Banner, because I was going to put that tape out. And so now
That's
you
what
just
being
gave me a couple.
that's who being York is.
Yeah, I heard that before, but now you just gave me the final piece that I need to tie in to put it together.
Hmm. Look, who was the girl with Lewis and Clark?
That's what yeah. And who was the other dude that was with Ben Clark, Ben York? The other black dude, or the other dude they said that was with him.
Look, Sacagawea was the girl that traveled with being York
Right.
and
And he
Lewis
had a
and Clark.
yeah, he had a
She
son
had a
by
son, and his son name was Jean Baptiste, not Dusable, but it was something else. John Baptiste. Oh, let me look it up. Let me look it up.
and his son became chief, right? Of the Shoshone.
I'm about. That's where I'm going with this. I'm about to show y'all how the trick works.
Yeah, Shaka Jawea. Shaka Jawea. They got a statue of her holding the baby walking.
Charbonneau.
Yeah.
Look, his name is Jean Baptiste Charbonneau. Right? That's supposed to be her son with being York. Right now,
Right.
the city of um, Chicago, which was there long, it's been there for thousands of years, but they credit it with a Jamaican, a Haitian dude, I mean, named Jean Baptiste Dusable, right? It's still in his identity. And they're using Charbonneau to do it. Because Charbonneau also was a resident of the territory that gave birth to the modern city of Chicago.
Uh-huh.
And they telling the Jean Baptiste Dusable story because he could have been appointed by Sacagawea to the land right of the territory.
Right.
But he can't tell nobody he being York's son, because if they find out he being York's son, they know he's an imposter and an interloper.
Go ahead. Makes
So
sense.
they assigned it to this priest, a Vadun priest out of Haiti, and they changed his name. That ain't his birth name, wasn't Jean Baptiste Dusable. Jean Baptiste Dusable mean the sable mean black. It means John the Black Baptist is what it means,
Damn.
right? And the name Charbonneau, let me look up the meaning of it so I can read it to y'all.
Shabazar. That sounds like it's connected to the tribe of Shabazz or something. Because being York would be connected to the tribe of Shabazz, being that he was supposedly a Moor from West Africa. Or well, his dad was from West Africa. His mother was from Barbados. If you're going with the
Now
mother
check
line,
this out. Now
yeah.
remember, his name is John Baptiste du Sable. Now watch this. Charbonneau is the surname of French origin given for a coal merchant, or as nickname for someone with a dark complexion.
Go ahead.
Right? It's the same name.
Black John.
John the Black Baptist. Right? And they give his 18 so he was born after Dusable, so to speak.
Uh-huh.
But their name mean the same thing. And both of them tied to the city of Chicago. That's how you usurp. Remember, Enlil named his sons
Yeah,
after Enki's sons when Enki started getting the upper hand.
that's right.
So that when the posterity fight for Enki's son, they think they fighting for Enki's son all the time. They fighting for Enlil's son,
That's right.
right? And this is how you know the difference. It's the same story today played out as this was written in them tablets thousands of years ago. But if you don't know the old story, you won't be able to see it being played in your face. As soon as you go back and get them old stories, now when they playing in your face, you be like, man, y'all did that shit 10,000 years ago. Can't you find some other kind of way to try to deceive me now? It's old. It's
Right.
tired now. I know you don't still think it's gonna work, but you still think it's gonna work again. Right. So once we see it, you can't unsee it.
So how do we treat the colonizers now? Do we treat them hostile? Do we treat them like, hey, we know and we know we just ain't gonna say nothing, say nothing? Or do
Okay,
we
so now
fight?
we got to go to why all these people came over here. That's a whole nother story separate from the political dynamic. Now we talk about diversification of genetic fields. We talking about the establishment of bloodlines of the future using the bloodlines of today. Right? You talking about tying into the vine. You talking about grafting off the vine. You talking about establishing different seeds for different lineages to progenerate. They call it the one drop doctrine for a reason. And the story of the one drop doctrine is in the Sumerian tablets, is where Enki is telling them how to cure the genetics of the humans with the defects created by Enlil's son, trying to play God, not knowing what he was doing. Right? Nergal, they call him from Nibiru to help fix the problem. And they say, did y'all ask Tahuti and Enki? And they said, we don't want to ask them. He said, I can't help you. So they banished him to the underworld where he meet Erishkigal. The story is not different. It's the same metaphorical story played out today, but using different characters to play the story out in modern times. Right? You got the puppet master. It's the same puppet master, even though the puppet is different. Right? He only got so many ways to play and pretend to be this particular puppet before it becomes you can recognize even when the puppet changed that the character the same.
Right. Hey, so I was wondering why they were so interested in Chicago, because they said it war. That's when Chief Pontiac. That's what really the kickoff, the beginning of the wars. It's with Chief Pontiac in the Michigan Chicago area, and it seemed like to me they were trying to get tactical command of the water, the Great Lakes. That's a significant fresh water. I mean, that's a significant area right there for Native Americans in that land. So by starting with Chief Pontiac, and you come in as the the embodiment of that
The
spirit that was
successor.
falling on men. Huh?
Yeah, I gotta solve his beef.
Yeah. It started right there with the Moors. Right
Yeah,
there with the Moors. The British Moors. Yeah.
and the French. It was
Yeah.
primarily the French.
Yeah.
You gotta remember, Detroit was the capital.
Go ahead.
The territory of Chief Pontiac stretched from Detroit to Chicago to Pontiac, Illinois.
Go ahead.
Right. We only had metropolises and villages. We didn't have sub cities. Today, the tribes of the Flintstones, they still inhabit Flint, Michigan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. We call them Flintstones is because they used to not far from Flint. They used to mine Flintstone.
Go ahead. Makes
This is where
sense.
you get your cartoon characters from. Working in the rock mines. The rock mine became characteristic of the auto plants, and that's where the Union first started in Flint, Michigan. Right? It was triggered by the treaties of the Flint Indians with the Saginaw Indians and several other local tribes that people can't exploit you for your labor. This what gave rise to the labor unions. And the corporation, aka the government, hired corporate you and the corporations, they hired protesters to protest the organizing of the labor force under the what's called guild principle, GUILD. The guild principle was where all of the people that work in the profession stabilize the value of their workload so that you can't be exploited, and I won't let nobody exploit you if you don't let nobody exploit me. This gave birth to your labor unions, but it started off as workers' guilds. Before it was workers' guild, it was family professions where you pass down what your father did to the son, but people wanted to strike out on their own, so they wanted to be specialized in other areas. So you start out developing the guilds, which is the precursor to the skilled trades monitoring systems that gave birth to workers' unions. All of the workers' unions came from the organizing of workers' guilds before the unions was ever started. And this was agreements that tribes used to make on the land to maintain stable financial balance in the workload. That way, if this job deserves $8 an hour, right? For example, if it's 10 of us that know how to do it, we all should be paid $8 an hour to do this job, right? Now, just because we in different areas and we don't communicate, there's no standard of what we might charge. One of us might find that he's got a niche crowd where the demand is too high for him to do it at $8 an hour. He's gonna do it for 10, which raises his stock value. But you might not have the same capability. So to compete with him, you have to decrease the value per hour that you making. Now this split the wages, right? This is how you play two sides from the middle, right? We overwhelm him with demand. He got to jack his prices up. For you to compete for survival, you have to lower your prices down, right? But we still getting paid by the same people, right? And the first time one of us have to lower our prices, we devalue the underlying production of what we produce, right? Because this is how you end up in the auto industry going from luxury car to economy car. What's the difference? They bought cars.
Yeah.
Right? They all charge a high percentage more than it take to make them in order for you to buy one. Like you can go, it might cost them $1,800 to build uh, a Mazda G6. It's only gonna cost them $2,000 to build a Cadillac Escalade. The price of production is not that much different, right? But the economy cars is what you get the people to make in order to be able to make the Escalade at a higher value. Because now you're giving it back to the customer the way you paying out the wages.
Man, it's a game. Oh, it's like hand over fist. It's hustle, man. Hand.
Yeah.
Let's go back to guns and butter. Guns and butter. That ties into the topic with everything you're saying. It ties into the topic. Guns versus butter. So it stands the reason the people who are passing out the butter and taking in the guns, it's got a systematic hand over fist hustle here, man. You got to figure out the hustle or you would get hustle. Seems like to me. Huh?
Yep. So it's the same with it. Any child going out in New York will be exposed to the kind games. He gonna walk past somebody playing 3-card money. He gonna walk past somebody playing 3-shell shuffle. Right? He gonna walk past somebody playing all these kinds. He gonna run past people that playing instruments with a hat out front of them, singing sometimes. He gonna walk across the people that made a creative drum set out of buckets and pans, right? Just because everybody got a different ability. When you don't know what these games is, you become food for the environment. You get consumed. You always behind 2 steps behind what the environment is doing because you don't know the rules to the game. Remember what Tupac say? Once you get an understanding of the game and the rules of the game, right? Life ain't a struggle no more. It's a trick, and it's a trick to be played. Voila, pull a rabbit out the hat. Black girl magic, just like that. It's a return of the peace stones. When they tell you stone run it, they talking about that's the law. G's govern it. We the politicians. They the enforcers. We the politicians. We the statesmen. Right? So when we rise up, we gotta be well versed in both of them, not to disrespect either of them. We all born off the Vice Lord line. Right? And all of this takes us back to unraveling who's who across the land. And how do we understand who we are faced with an enemy that look like us that ain't us? Right? It's hiding behind people that don't look like us, telling us that they the problem when they following the rules just like the rest of us is.
Right? It's like they keeping us in a spin, in a whirlwind, while they sit back and collect the guns. They collecting the guns and they put us on the butter where we can slip on the butter.
You remember when they say that the gypsies that come to town, they perform, they do crystal ball readings and read tarot cards for you, and people used to talk bad about the gypsies, right?
Yeah.
But there was another group of people in India called jugglers, and they had all these different magicians, right? And they all doing some fancy trick, and they come to town, it's like the circus. But it's less controlled than the circus. It looked like pure chaos.
Yeah.
Over here, you got to do balancing one finger on the bottle. Right? Over there, you got a girl with a hula hoop doing backflips at 30 miles a minute. Right? You got people juggling, swallowing swords, eating fire. All of this is just sensory overload coming to your local village. Right? That's called the razzle dazzle.
Damn.
Right? Because when you come with the razzle dazzle, you have so many things going on at one time, and people that sensory deprived become sensory overloaded, and that delirium allow you to manipulate them out of their money. It's called the razzle dazzle. It's adopted from the old juggler circuses from before colonization of India, where we used to be called Hindustan. And before that, it was, you know, Aethiops, but it was the ether, when they referred to it. Right. So what gave rise to Aethiop's burnt faces is also Latin aether, which is ether. So you're jumping from two different cultures. The Greeks speak Greek. The Romans speak Latin. So when the Greeks is telling us about the land of the burnt faces, they was talking about the land of the sun faces,
right?
Which is the manifest aether or ether,
right?
Symbolized by the sun in this traverse across the sky. This is your story of the rise of the chief from Amen to Aten. But first, he had to go through Kether, right? And as he ascends to the apex, which is Aten position, which is high noon in the old cowboy movies, it's the final showdown. It's almost 12 o'clock on the doomsday clock, right? And what Rakim say? He say, "Oh man, I forgot how he said it. I ain't gonna butcher his lyrics because he's too good for me to do that." But he was talking about the appearance of the seventh angel, right? And it was gonna be right in the nick of time to stop disaster. They over there talking, flirting with nuclear war, but the Galactic Council already said that if they tried nuclear war, they'd shut down all their war machines.
Yeah.
So I'm like, go ahead, shoot another one up in the sky if you want to. It will immediately topple their old system. They ain't gonna do that.
They tried to shoot it up because they was testing them out of space, right? And they shot it up, and then one of them crafts just came out of nowhere, and the missile was flying at 15,000 miles an hour. It just came up, shot it like 3 times, deactivated it, darted off back into outer space. I said, man,
they didn't just do it once.
Yeah, a couple times.
They even have them. It was a reactor that was reaching critical mass for explosion. Right? They shut it off.
Damn.
They got a whole lot of recorded in the, especially when you go into that field of ufology.
Yeah.
They're very active around the nuclear plants because remember, we in this from nuclear war.
Yeah.
We coming out of the ice age that was an artificially induced ice age, right, which created another cycle inside of a cycle, right? Which was a triple infinity loop, right? So in order to get out of it, you have to play it all simultaneously from the fifth dimension, but it had to be acted out or descriptively displayed in the third dimension in order for it to finally come into fruition or for the power to take. In other words, the creator God's got to collapse the reality from the wave form to the particle form, from the possibility to the certainty. The wave form is infinite possibility, right? And the particle form is absolute probability. You're going from possibility to probability. The likelihood collapses the reality. And I'm telling you, we only here today because we used yesterday to get here, mentally speaking. All things are mind, made up of the contents of the mind. It's just our imagination running away again.
Just our imagination running away with me.
Now, what we're trying to do now is find a sunshiny day. right? And we just trying to get a little bit further after the pain. Because we all understood no pain, no gain. So we understood Betty when she called up to have a conversation woman to woman. But we was just children. We didn't know what we was listening to. Right? Then we heard them when they told us that tonight is the night. Right? And she wanted to make her a woman. In other words, the queen need to be crowned the queen in order for her to be seen. So they bring in all of the bees from the hive, the killer bees, which is the killer G's. The G's is the sevens. The sevens working for the twos. The twos is the sisters. The sisters sending out the SOS. Because the sisters of the struggle activate the brothers of the struggle when the bully come around in order to go get his sister's stuff back. So when it's all said and done, it all comes back to one. And then you get back to the I-10, back to the high noon of it all.
Hey, bro.
Right.
We got about 3 minutes. Hey, man, if y'all want to show Brother Rod Hayes some love, we got his Cash App and his PayPal if you can't get the Cash App on the screen. And we'll take one. I got one more question for you, Rod. We got about 3 minutes. Somebody asked, could you go in on how important, and you probably went over this 1,000 times, but how important is the totem poles and how do they find, they say they want people asking about the totem poles and how do they find their tribal totem pole?
The tribes use totem poles. We make our own totem poles. You got to design your totem pole. The totem pole is it ties to your totem animal, which is your spirit animal. We didn't use flags. We are only using flags under the jurisdiction of Admiralty and Maritime that was doing a salvage operation on the land. And wherever the ship landed, he had to fly a flag. That's why they got an American flag in every state capital, wherever the state capitol building is. Right? And in order to tell you who was conquered, they put the state flag under the United States flag so you know that this territory was conquered by the corporation known as the United States. And they used the postal zones to parcel out the land in order to determine how to break the land up. So the totem poles used to tell more information than the flag, and it used to tell you how your tribe is affiliated with the land.
Sort of like an address for your tribe.
Yeah, but we normally used to keep them at what's called great junctions. Great junctions was travel paths, right? When you get to a travel path, in order to know if you're in hostile territory or friendly territory, you have to know the totem of the people that you're at peace with and at war with. Right? So you can use the totem poles that the local tribe produce, because it's local tribes in every city and every tribe's not far from you that's still doing tribal stuff on the land. And we even have ceremonial tribes to make sure that some of this stuff is still being done. The ceremonial tribes that's working with us, because there's a lot of them, because they have no problem with us saying we the original people of the land, and they will also tell you that. But the imposter interloper tribes are the ones that gets dismayed by us telling y'all that we the original people of the land. Right? So your totem pole is absolute definitive that you from the land and that you don't honor the law of the flag, you honor the law of the totem pole, which ties to the original tribes.
Hey, fire, man. And on that note, we're at the 2:00 mark and we can close it out. Hey, Rod, you got anything you want to say before we get up out of here?
No, just we
appreciate all the love, the support. new subscribers, the new members, everything, man. We are the comments, the people been going ham on the comments with the love, man. So I definitely appreciate all y'all, and we just getting started, man. We ain't even warmed up yet. So I want to get this thing cracking without a further ado. So Big Chief, man, appreciate you for having me. I mean, for coming on again and joining us by Brother B-Dell 2 times in 1 week. I appreciate you too as well, brother.
You know, we here to bang bang and shake the brain on this 2-ball cane thug thing. You understand what I'm saying? You know, they put certain people together. It's like mixing the right chemicals to make a bond, baby. We here about to shake it up. You know, we just gonna be kicking the game to us, but to other people, they gonna learn something.
Yes, sir, and they learning a lot too, man. That's real. That's real. I tell you what, listen, I want to jump right in, because I got to check out your video you just put, I think, like yesterday or the day before, B-Dell, and then Brother Ryan, I've been seeing your stuff you've been dropping, so look, just that alone is enough for me to go. But you know, with the posts I've been seeing from you on Facebook, Ryan, and then B-Dell with your stream you just did, I think yesterday, when it comes to the thing called gematria, right? I know there's been a lot of dates that we're seeing that's got a lot of significance to them. So with today being 6/6, right? And then with it being a 9-year, and since the last time I spoke to both of y'all, I done seen earthquakes, volcanoes, I done seen goddamn hailstorms, ice storms in Florida, I done seen red orbs in Florida, I've seen the gold melting in Hawaii. Like, it's a whole lot going on, boy, since the last time we talked. So if I ain't know no better, I definitely would say it is Mamageddon, and the matriarchs have returned. So when it goes to the mothers, and let's just go with the number 6/6. What is that kind of bringing us to when we're talking about this day and time, brother B-Dell, with the gematria aspects?
Well, when you get into Vedic gematria, the gematria system is connected to the binary code system of the matrix. So that's why everything within the simulation, it has a number, and that number operates on the system of a cycle. So that's why if you notice everything in as far as like historical context and biblical context, there's always a cycle and a transitional shift that takes place that's also corresponding with the numerical system that is acclimated to the event or whatever agenda or whatever type of black swan orchestration that they're trying to perpetuate to carry out a certain agenda as far as like, you know, totalitarian system. So everything as far as like, for instance, like around this time last year, the boxer Garcia, I forgot his name, but he said something about an earthquake was going to be taking place on June 6th. So the same thing actually translates to now, because we just have earthquakes going on in on the Seamount Axle over in that area. You got the volcanoes, Mount Etna. You got all these things happening at one time because Mother Nature is being turned on. So that's, like I said, everything corresponds with, you know, those solar eclipses that took place from 2017, 2023, and 2024. Those 3 solar eclipses corresponds with the energies of nature that's taking place right now. So that's why I said Earth has a chakra system. So when you have those neutrinos collaborating to the planet, it's going to activate that Kundalini serpent. So we, like you said, we're in a 9 years. So that's like a mirror flip, what Rod would say. A 9 is basically a 6. You know what I'm saying? If you look at it, so the numerical codex in itself is also it has an octave vibration. Numbers have different dimensional realities to them. If you ever notice about time traveling, I learned this probably a few months ago. You can time travel just by the octave vibration of the numbers. So like for instance, like a person can be